Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, June 16th. People, it's been almost a year and a half we've been doing this. I cannot believe it. And I cannot believe that it has stuck and that we're still doing it. And as the pandemic comes to an end, we'll still be doing lives. It may be formatted a little bit differently or whatever, but this has just been an extraordinary experience, I'll say, for myself, as I hope for you too. What would we do without the internet? Well, almost did find out. Monday night, the internet went out, the TV went out, the phone went out. Not my trusty little cell phone, but our main phone. And I started to get in a panic when, okay, I was in bed. John called Xfinity. They tried to do everything, like whatever the heck they do from wherever in the world and yada, yada. And so we had an appointment for 7:30 this morning. Great. We can get up. We can do it. So the guy came out, and it was not a problem from the street into the house. It wasn't, he couldn't figure out what the problem was. It had gone out like 2 months before. And he kept asking, do you have a power booster? And what are you talking about? And then I said, well, when the guy came out last time, he was all over about an outlet that's down here behind me. Remember, I had built-ins, and right now I'm in the middle of the whole thing too. And so he went over and looked, and I had unplugged the main power source to take my blood pressure. What a moron, okay? And John goes, didn't you notice like the big white cable and everything? Well, I don't know. It's just a plug-in, big deal. So the guy took pity on us and wrote up something so we didn't have to pay for it. But that leads me into what we're going to be doing today. I had promised you on Monday, I showed you how to do Machine Applique the Alex Anderson way. And today I was to show you Machine Applique the Shelley Tobisch way. And then the big thing that happened. And I was so concerned about the internet and building a little program for you today without the internet in my house. I was going to go next door, yada, 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 that we will do that next Monday. So Shelley, I apologize. And I apologize to all of you, but my back was kind of to the corner. But the other funny thing is that we could get internet by poaching off our neighbors. I said, Sagen, well, first she offered, and if we sat exactly in the right part of the house, exactly, we could pick up on their Wi-Fi. It's like there's a line down the middle of our house, and if you're on this side, you can get Sajan's. If you're on this side, you could probably get Darcy's. Thank goodness we live in such a fabulous neighborhood. It's talk about fabulous. Well, no, it's not fabulous. It's going to be super duper hot this weekend here, and Sagen and her family said we can use the pools because we're going to have the babies here too. It's Jerry's 40th birthday today, my son-in-law. So given that I'm not going to demo that today, I do have some other stuff I want to talk to you about. First of all, though, Jeannie sent me a picture of her spinning spools quilt. I just freaked out over it. It was her collection of African fabric. And Jeannie, this is just the best. It is. I would have never done it in a million years. I would have been afraid to do it. And you nailed it. I can't tell if you just finished it off. I think you can just stop there if you want. I could actually also see this being much bigger. This is just joyful to me. And I know for some of you, it might be a little chaotic, but to me, this is an A plus. All right. Then also, Diane sent me this via, I'm not sure if it's Facebook or my email. And this is the ultimate little hanky dress quilt. You know, it's funny because here's Sparrow coming over. I got it from you and then I couldn't find it. And then amazingly, when our internet came back up, there it was. So I am your fearless leader. And I am so sorry for that. Now, given that, yesterday I got an email. Again, I could get in on their internet, and it was, am I doing my little girls, my Cindy Needham things on my 765 Bernina, my domestic, okay, or on my Q20? And that was, and if you're not familiar with it, oh yeah, I do have the African quilt covering me. I had to scratch myself. Thank you, John. Um, I was working on my 765, which is a beautiful machine, and I know a lot of you are purchasing them because I go on and on about my machine. But when I got down to the quilting, you know, like you're pushing through like this, I was like having to go like this and look underneath to see if my lines were right and this and that. I mean, you're working in a real macro way, so to speak. So I looked up and there she sat or sits across the room. And as you know, again, this place is torn up, but she's not. And the Q20 is, if you're not a Bernina person, it's their sit down long arm. It's not on the frame. It's like, it's sit down, but it's got the big long head. Let me see if I can, here she is right over here. Okay. And the head is a long arm head. So that it has a different feel, it has a different sound, all of that. And for some reason, I thought I've got to stay on my domestic for this. And then I thought of people like Sharon Chamber and all that. And I'm like going, wait a minute, they do mighty micro work on it. So I went over and I sat down, and it's been a little bit since I've been on it because of everything. Uh, I do have a slidey mat on it. You know how you put the Teflon mat on it so that things slide, and it wouldn't work for me. And I'm like going, what the heckity heck is going on here? Well, I had covered the 2-stitch regulators, all right, that come up. And so let me see, what's a picture of here? Yeah. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try. I put my BSR, there's 2 BS stitch regulators on this. There's BSR 1, there's BSR 2, so you have a choice. I like to go with the BSR 1 because, and you can see it's highlighted, if I move, it stitches. If I don't move, it doesn't stitch. I decided to go with the 10, that stitches per inch. I wanted it to match up with what I was doing on my domestic. And then the other thing that I want to point out, if you've got this machine, if you look down at the bottom, the foot lever, the gas, gives you a couple multi-functions you can use it for. I like the knot feature. So if you've never tried the knot feature, give it a shot and see what you think, because it does a couple things at once. So the other thing I have on mine is the laser light, and that's an extra, I think, couple $100, and I turned it on. Okay, so what happened was this side short of a miracle. Okay, first of all, it sounded different, but the stitches were perfect. Okay, that's all well and good. I'm doing straight line. So here's my little straight line ruler that I'm using. And there you can see the little red dot. So I know exactly where the stitches are going. And it was perfect. And then I went and did some little cathedral windows. It was perfect. I don't know why I put those restrictions on myself. I have no idea. And so from here on out, I'm going to be doing my little girls on my Q20. Oh, the other thing, Quilter Select does have a couple, well, just one now, straight line ruler. We have more coming out. What I used it for, because it doesn't slip, it also kind of worked as a moving pad. You know, like how when you're doing your quilting, sometimes you wear like little gloves and it helps you do that. Well, it worked as an extra anchor. The other thing is I also use that ruler when I have my walking foot on my regular domestic, just to keep it in shape and keep it in line. So I was ever so excited and happy that I figured that out. And John, I am going to ask you to come in here because I am not seeing. Oh, there we go. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. So, okay, so Julie just said the spinning spools created with the African fabric is the most interesting quilt I've seen in a long time. Yeah, no kidding. No, I lost the questions here, and I'm going to be able to take questions and answers here towards the end. No, I got it. I got it. Thanks. Okay, so yes, your question was incredibly fortuitous. It was right on time. I had just gone over to my machine, and it was like, whoa. And my love affair just exploded. Just exploded. I don't know why I put limitations on that machine. All right. I don't know why I did it. That's my fault, not the machine's, right? Then I got another question forwarded to me. Let me see. Okay, here we go. It's from Debbie, okay? And it's and we are going to get to the big story. I'm so excited. Um why does my daughter call me during this? Okay. Debbie said, I was talking about using monopoly on the top when I'm doing my hidden applique, my finished applique, and I didn't talk about what I put on the bobbin. Number one, I don't use monopoly on the bobbin. You're right, Debbie. I use it just on the top. Debbie was taught that if you do a monopoly on top, that you should do a cotton on the bobbin. Yes, that's how I was taught too. But since I have switched to my 80 weight poly on the bobbin, I use nothing else for anything and it works just fine. But no, I would steer clear of monopoly on the bobbin. It can be a little bit snarky in the best of worlds, all right? So thank you for that question. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. Can you move the head of your machine in different directions? If you're talking about the Q20, no, it's stationary. The other thing I'm going to say I did too, and this was a little bit more money, I sprung for the table that goes up and down with a little button, and that comes in really handy when I have to change the bobbin because these are bifocals, and if I have to get down, I can't see it, so I can bring up the table. In fact, we have a safe in our house and it's on the floor and I can't get into it because the way my eyes are and these crazy glasses. So, all right. Can we see a picture of spinning spools with the African fabric? Yes, let me pull that up right now. Again, I did it kind of early into it. Look at this. Kazowie. I mean, that's crazy. And honestly, I think it's the blades that make the whole thing work together. Okay, Margaret, yes, the smoke monopoly will work too. Use the smoke monopoly if your fabric is dark. If it's light, use the light monopoly. And the truth of it is, I'm looking at my spinning spools right now. I probably could have swung either way, but I do believe I used the light. I do believe I used the light, okay? So here is the big story. I mentioned on Monday, I was going to tell you something today, and only twice in my life have I really been felt I've been spoken to. I mean, clearly spoken to. This is number two. Number one, I probably will never share. But let me tell you, as you know, we took mom to take her to her final resting place. And she was born and raised in Door County. Whoops, I want the map. Door County, if you've never been there, is if you look where the red is there, it is an island that's surrounded by the Great Lakes. And it is charming is the understatement, is the complete understatement. It is becoming very touristy. It's primarily, it was when I went back there and when my mom grew up there, it was, well, her dad did cherries and cherries and apples. It was an ag community. It is spectacular in itself. This is my guess. No, I know. This is Green Bay, that side of the island. The other side is Lake Michigan, I have to think. And there are beaches, there are cliffs, there's shale. It's just spectacular. And then yet the island itself has all this vegetation. It is a mosquito's haven a lot of the time. Where we stayed this time, we weren't bit up because we were right on the water on the Green Bay side. So back in the day, my grandpa met up with a gentleman named Jens Jensen. He was a world-renowned landscape architect. He ran with the crowd of Henry Ford, and his foe was Frank Lloyd Wright. So, he knew people, and his big deal was conserving, taking care of the earth, the ultimate environmentalist back in the day. Well, he bought property across this, Jens Jensen is his name. He bought property across the street from my grandpa's property. He came from the Chicago area, and it's called The Clearing, all right? And it is a school for all the arts, and that's what it was created for. It is truly a magical, magical place to go to. And let's take a look here. It has meadows, okay, just like, all over Door County, and it has water. So I actually got to teach there once, and it was fabulous, and it was built as a school, okay? So when we went there, okay, I want to take a look at when we went there. I knew the clearing was closed, but the gift shop is always open, and it's just a little itty bitty gift shop. And they usually have very fine things there made from local artists. And so I said, well, let's just go in a dare. And this, of course, was the day after Mom had been put it to rest between her parents at the graveyard. And this is what happened. This is what happened. I want you to take a look at this. I teased you with the bottom picture on Monday. John said it looks like I'm taking up golf. Nope, been there, done that. I wasn't a little Catholic girl either. But if you look very, very carefully, there's a painting to the right on the bottom one, and on the top to the top. And that's me in both cases. And so what happened was that when my mom was 10 years old, she said to Mr. Jensen, when I get married, can I get married at the clearing? And he said, of course, Dottie. And earlier, before she was 10 years old, she had admired this painting of his, all right? And I remember this painting. I didn't know where it was, but I remember this painting. I grew up with this painting. And so Adair and I walked into the gift shop, and down on the floor against the wall was the painting. And it wasn't for sale. I was stunned. And I go, that's my mom's painting. I said, that's her painting, which means it's my painting. That's my painting. And the lady started laughing, and she was a volunteer. She'd only been there 2 years. She was from, I believe, the Georgia area. And there you can see on the bottom, it's signed by Jens Jensen. And I'm going, Adair, do you remember that painting? And Adair didn't. I mean, I was just like beside myself, okay? And then on the back of it was a letter. And it was a letter from my mom. She flipped it over, And my daughter goes, "That's Grandma Dee's writing." She gifted this painting September 1989 to the clearing, and it tells the story of when she was a little girl, and she wanted to get married there, and Mr. Jensen gifted her with this. And so that was just like a bucket of water, came from nowhere, shocker of shock, okay? And then the lady said, I said, okay, you get it. You get the shock. And then she said to me, she said, okay, I'm the historian. I'm new here. Again, she'd been there 2 years from Georgia. And she said, you're not going to believe what I'm working on right now. My parents' wedding with Mr. Jensen. And it was all right there, right completely there. And then she had historical documents. She had the book, the transcript of my grandpa's book that he wrote, and actually an envelope with duplicate pictures of which she gave me of when my grandpa had a book signing party there in 80, I think it was 89. No, it would have been 82. Adair wasn't born yet. And Joey was like a 2-year-old. You know, there we all were, my grandpa and grandpa, Mr. Jensen and all that. And it was a book signing party for this, the book that my grandpa wrote, of which I came home and I looked over in the bookcase and there it was. There's the painting. So it was like something that was like, it was a message from my mom and dad that they are okay. And I asked my friends who's a psychologist, is this too personal to be sharing? And he said, no, because this happens to people. And he said, honestly, he said, this is probably one of the better ones I've ever heard. So at that moment, okay, after 9/11, I couldn't create. I don't know if I shared this on Monday. I was stuck, absolutely stuck. Some people just made quilts like there was no tomorrow. I sat at my sewing machine for 6 months and stared. Since even a little bit because of COVID, because of my mom, because of that, you guys have kept me on board with creating. But it hasn't been a joyous experience. It has been really hard. And as soon as that personal big magic happened, I came home and I have been set free. I can create again. My mom and dad are okay. So very, very personal story, but I did want to share it, all right? And I want to show you something that this hung in my grandpa's office. Plan to plant another tree. He and Mr. Jensen were all about conserving and all that, and this hangs in my office as a reminder of our planet and how those before us and those after us need to look. The other thing, I had never read this book, okay? I came home and read it. It took an hour. My daughter said, you can't tell me grandpa and grandma weren't rich. Henry Ford would call their house, okay? And that's because he was big buddies with Jens Jensen. If Jens needed a tractor, Henry Ford would give it to him. So one day, not like, when mom still had it together, she mentioned, oh yeah, Henry Ford would call the house all the time. What? And in the book, one of the first things my grandpa said was that money didn't really exchange hands up there. That just wasn't how the world was done. And I know in today's generation, being rich is equated to what's in your bank account. No, being rich is understanding everything around you and having the gift to appreciate and love it. My grandpa was rich, and so was Mr. Jensen, and so was my mom and dad, and so am I. So that's my big story. I hope it's not too weird, but I wanted to share that with you, okay? Now, Shelley Tobisch says she loves, and Shelley, I'm going to do you on Monday. I love the combination of monopoly on top and Quilter Select 80 in the bobbin. The stitches are fantastic. Will the 80 weight be available on cones? I don't know. I, I don't know, okay? Okay. It is a peninsula. Yes, Door County is a peninsula. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. This the story is unbelievable, unfreaking believable. So when God winks at you, I might want to read the book. When God winks at you, I'll check that out. Okay. Lost my mojo last year. You helped me get it back. You know, uh, it's the truth. I mean, I talked to my psychology friend, and he said trauma can affect you all different ways. Just no judge, and we all, regroup and redo and all of that. And I do want to say, ooh, hey Margot, I almost called and told you, but then I didn't. So what's coming up? What is coming up? Oh, one other thing. This is a different big magic. I told you guys to get this book. My girlfriend Robin called me at 7:30 this morning and was going to call me at midnight last night because she couldn't sleep. It is so good. And when she was about a quarter into it, she realized she was plowing through it because it's so good. And she's going to go read it again with a highlighter. And I think that's what I said too. I got to go back in there. There's so many nuggets in here about creativity and how to harness it and how to capture it and all that. Okay. So speaking of creativity, Dee is going to start, I call it Big Red, the red quilt. And we do have kits available, but you don't, of course, have to have a kit. You do need a pattern. And we do have it as a digital download that you can get on the store. So you have time to get that before Saturday. Also, oh, Diane, did the picture and the letter stay behind? Yes, the picture did stay behind. I did call the clearing Monday after I was done with you guys, and I talked to the general manager, and he said, I said, look, here it belongs with you guys. It belongs with you. And the crazy thing is that it was stuck up in an attic. They didn't even know it was up there. It just happened to come down that day. And I said, okay, well, if you ever decide you don't want it, which I know is not going to happen, please call me. I don't want it to end up in a thrift store or something like that. And I said, I have one other favor. Please keep the letter on the back. And he said, of course, of course. So, okay, so Friday. So we know Dee is starting her thing on Saturday. Yay. And I think she's teaching 3 blocks right off the pop, but I didn't confirm that. But on Friday, I have an interview with Amy Milne, and she is the director of Quilt Alliance. They've done things like Save Our Stories and all that, but now they're reaching out to you, to our community. They have another project, and it starts Friday and it ends July 15th. And it's going to be a way, well, I don't want to give it away, but I love what they're doing. And I did it with this quilt over here, and I did a little thing for them, and then she's going to explain what they want. And we're counting on you people, you TQS people. If you've got a smartphone that's got a recorder, you can play. All right? I'm very excited about that. And Joan, I need to make an art quilt of that picture. Yes, that was already determined. Yes. So I will see you Friday. I guess I'm kind of glad the internet went out, so I had enough time to tell you the story. And I'm going to go sit down on my big girl Q20. I did put out on Friday that if you buy a Bernina, or Monday, if you buy a Bernina over $1,000, it has to be new, because I have influenced you. Please get hold of me and I'll send you a card, and then you can mail it in, but you've got only 30 days to get it into Bernina. And I have to tell you, I've been chatting up my 765 so much, I'm thinking about getting a mid 5 for traveling. And somebody It's ridiculous. Somebody wrote me and said, "Oh, you should do it." And I said, "I don't need the encouragement. I don't need it. And I don't even get that $100 coupon." So if you need to contact me directly, don't go pull a ticket. Don't go to contact us. It's me, ALEXANDRSN @gmail.com. Okay? Got it. Have a great day, and we'll see you Friday.